A food safety crisis. I mean, it's pretty much a nightmare scenario, right? But what if you could turn that failure into your greatest strength? Today, we're going to do a post-mortem on a disaster, and we're going to see how you can take a dangerous blind spot in your safety plan and forge it into a powerful, resilient defense system. Let's get into it. Just imagine getting that call. A product you poured your heart into is now a potential hazard. Your stomach just drops. This isn't some minor quality complaint. We're talking about a public health risk, and it came from your facility. This is where our story begins. And spoiler alert, it's not just about a broken piece of equipment, it's about a crack in the entire system. So you had a plan. You had all these procedures. You thought you were totally covered. And yet, something slipped through. The real question here isn't just how did this happen? It's how do we completely re-engineer our process so that a repeat failure is literally impossible? So where did this all go wrong? Well, it came down to a blind spot in the company's HACCP plan. Now, HACCP, that's Hazard Analysis and Critical Points, is basically the master rulebook for every food producer to stop hazards. And in this case, a crucial chapter was just missing. Metal fragments were never officially flagged as a major risk at the final packing stage. It was one of those things everyone just assumed was fine, right up until the moment it wasn't. And this right here, this is the key. It would be so easy to just find the one worn-out gear, replace it, and call it a day. But that doesn't fix the real problem. The real problem is that your process allowed this to happen without anyone noticing. And if your process is broken, you can bet it's going to happen again. Okay, so how in the world do you fix a broken process? Well, the industry has a framework for this, and it's called CAPA. It stands for Corrective and Preventative Action. You can think of it as a two-part mission. First, you deal with the immediate crisis, the fire that's burning right now. But second, and this is the important part, you dig deep, find the root cause, and rebuild your defenses so it can never, ever happen again. I love how this breaks it down. Corrective action is the ER. It's all about immediate tactical damage control. You've got to stop the bleeding right now. But preventive action, that's the long-term strategic cure. It's about making absolutely sure that this wound never, ever reopens. And you need both. You can't have one without the other. So let's tackle mission 1, stopping the bleeding. These are your corrective actions. When the alarm is going off, there's no time to sit around and debate. You need a playbook that is fast, precise, and totally methodical. First things first, you contain the threat. You isolate and hold every single item from that production run. If even one thing has shipped, you notify everybody, customers, regulators, and you kick off a recall immediately. Then, you put on your detective hat. You're inspecting equipment, you're digging through maintenance logs, looking for any clue. And finally, you scream every single item you put on hold, and you document every single move you make. Okay, so you've stopped the bleeding, the immediate danger is contained, the recall is underway. But let's be real here. All you've really done is put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. Yeah, you've contained the damage for now, but that systemic flaw, that dangerous blind spot, it's still there, just waiting for the next chance to cause chaos. And that, my friends, brings us to the most critical phase of all, preventive action. This is where we stop playing defense and start re-engineering the system itself. We're hunting down that root cause to eliminate it for good. The objective here is simple, but it is absolute. This can never, ever happen again. This isn't about fixing one machine. It's about fundamentally changing your whole approach to safety so that this specific hazard is permanently taken off the board. The very first step is to go right back to your HACCP plan. You get the team in a room and you ask a simple question: what could go wrong here? This is your hazard analysis. In our scenario, you have to formally add metal contamination from equipment failure to your plan as a significant hazard. It sounds basic, I know, but it is the critical first step. You gotta name it to tame it. So once you've identified the hazard, you have to control it. And that's where you establish a critical control point, or a CCP. Think of a CCP like a firewall in your production line. It's a non-negotiable step specifically designed to find and neutralize that one threat before it gets anywhere near a customer. So your new action plan starts to take shape. The new CCP is a metal detector for all final products. But you don't just plug it in and walk away. No way. You have to validate that it can actually find those tiny fragments that caused the problem in the first place. And then you verify its performance every single day. You also totally flip your maintenance schedule from being reactive to proactive, so you're looking for wear and tear before things break. Now, fixing this one issue is fantastic, but building a truly resilient system, well, that requires a real shift in culture. It's about weaving these practices into your daily DNA so you can catch the next blind spot before it ever becomes a crisis. And this gets right to the heart of it. A resilient system isn't built in an office. It's built on the factory floor. Your HACCP team absolutely has to include the people who know the equipment best, your maintenance crew and your line operators. You train every employee to be a safety inspector, and you empower them to stop the line if they see anything that looks off. And you live by this mantra: if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Meticulous documentation is your absolute best defense. So when you put all this together, you achieve something pretty remarkable. By systematically taking apart the failure and rebuilding your process, you take a static document that was probably just sitting on a shelf, and you turn it into a dynamic, active defense system. You've taken what could have been a brand-destroying crisis, a really costly, dangerous mistake, and you've transformed it into a powerful lesson. Your entire operation is now smarter, it's safer, and it's way more resilient than it was before the failure even happened. That is the real power of doing CAPA right.
At the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. When you treat your safety plan not as some static document, but as a living, breathing system, one that you are constantly testing, questioning, and improving, it becomes your single greatest asset. It stops being about compliance and starts being about a promise you make to your customers.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. New videos every week.